Let's get real. The average person spends over 3 hours a day on their phone, not talking, not building, just scrolling endlessly, mindlessly. You're sitting there, thumb flicking up, eyes glazed over, letting someone else highlight reel hypnotize you while your own potential sits in the dark, ignored. Every time you open that app, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube Shorts, you're not just entertaining yourself, you're feeding an addiction. You're conditioning your brain to crave cheap dopamine hits. And every one of those hits is making it harder to focus, harder to stay present, harder to the deep, meaningful work that actually changes your life. You tell yourself it's just a break. I need a breather, just 10 minutes. But let's be honesting. How often does 10 minutes become 30? An hour? You blink and suddenly your whole evening is gone. You didn't read the book. You didn't hit the gym. You didn't start the business. You didn't have the conversation. You just watched someone else live, someone else speak, someone else do. And here's the harsh truthing. Every minute you're watching someone else chase their goals, you're stepping further away from yours. You're not lazy. You're not broken. But you are being manipulated. These platforms are engineered, literally designed to keep you stuck in a loop. Bright colors, infinite scroll, algorithmic hooks that learn your every weakness. They're not just offering entertainment. They're stealing your focus, draining your energy, and distracting you from your purpose. And the worst part is, we volunteer for it. We hand over our attention like it's worthless, like our time doesn't matter. But your time is your life. You don't get it back. Think about this. If someone stole your wallet, you'd be furious. You'd demand justice. But if someone steals 3 hours of your life every day, you call it normal. You laugh it off. You even defend it. I need to relax. It helps me wind down. But it's not relaxing when your brain is flooded with comparison, with anxiety, with noise you didn't ask for and didn't benefit from. You got dreams, big ones, and you've got the talent, the ideas, the potential, but you'll never see it through if you keep giving your best hours to a screen. Those golden early morning moments when your brain is sharp, gone. That evening window where you could have written a book, planned your goals, connected deeply with someone you love, replaced with 60-second videos of strangers doing dances, making jokes, or selling you things you don't need. And it's not just the time that's wasted, it's your mental bandwidth. Every time you scroll, your brain switches gears, it reacts, it judges, it compares. That constant stimulation isn't just tiring, it's rewiring you. Your attention span shrinks. Your ability to stay still, to be bored, to be present, it evaporates. And when you try to sit down and do something meaningful, like start a project or think deeply, you can't. Not because you don't care, but because your brain has been trained to need noise, chaos, speed. You've lost the art of being focused. You think you're in control. Try deleting the app for 48 hours and see what happens. Notice the twitch in your fingers, the urge to open your phone without even thinking. That's not freedom. That's programming. That's a system doing exactly what it was built to do. Keep you hooked, passive, consuming. You weren't meant to be a consumer. You were born to create, to build, to shape. But you can't build anything when your mind is scattered in 1,000 directions, chasing digital illusions. This isn't about demonizing technology. Tech is neutral. The question is, who's in control? Are you using the tool, or is the tool using you? Because let me tell you something you already know deep down, the life you want. The body, the business, the relationships, the peace. It doesn't come from clicking, swiping, or reacting. It comes from showing up, from doing the work that doesn't give you instant gratification. The work that's often boring, quiet, and uncomfortable. The kind of work you can't even start when your attention is fractured. And here's what most people want admitting: the scrolling is a form of avoidance. You're not just wasting time. You're running from the discomfort of doing the hard thing, from the fear of not being good enough, from the pressure to succeed. So instead, you seek a quick fix, a laugh, a like, a distraction, and for a moment it feels better. But when the screen goes dark, the emptiness is still there, the unfulfilled potential, the regret, the gnawing feeling that you were meant for more. You were. You call it being careful. You call it being smart, strategic, or responsible. You say, I'm just making sure it's the right decision. Or, I don't want to rush things. But let's call what it really is: fear. Overthinking isn't intelligence. It isn't preparation. It's fear putting on a mask and pretending to be wisdom. It's hesitation dressed up as logic. You're not gaining clarity when you overthink. You're avoiding action. You're analyzing, dissecting, rechecking, second-guessing, running through every possible outcome. But you're not moving. You're stuck in the same spot day after day, waiting for perfect conditions, waiting for more information, waiting until it feels right. That wait is a trap. Overthink keeps you in a mental loop. You think the next thought will finally be the one that solves everything. You convince yourself that if you just sit with it a little longer, the right answer will magically appear. But the truth is, the answer usually shows up after you take the first step, not before. Action creates clarity. Sitting still only feeds the doubt. And let's be honest, what are you really afraid of? Is it failure, judgment, discomfort? Because that's what most overthinking is hiding. It's your fear whispering. What if it doesn't work? What if they laugh? What if I'm not good enough? So instead of taking the leap, you stay in the shallow end of your mind, swimming circles around a decision you should have made days, weeks, or even years ago. The cost of overthinking isn't just time, it's confidence. Every moment you delay, your self-belief erodes. You start to mistrust your instincts. You begin to feel small. And eventually you lose momentum completely. You forget what decisiveness feels like. You lose the muscle of courage because courage is built through action, not thought. Overthinking is exhausting. It drains your energy because your mind never stops spinning. You lie awake at night replaying conversations, imagining future scenarios, constructing worst-case outcomes that never happen. You tell yourself you're being prepared, but you're not getting ready. You're rehearsing anxiety. You're building a fortress of fear with bricks made of doubt. You're not stuck because you don't know what to do. Deep down, you already know. You're stuck because you don't want to feel the discomfort that comes with doing it. You're stuck because you want certainty before you move. But life doesn't offer guarantees. You have to be willing to leap without a perfect map. You have to be willing to try to fail to learn. You have to stop needing every light to be green before you drive forward. Success isn't built on perfect decisions. It's built on decisions, period. Real progress comes from trial and error, from making a choice, learning from it, and adjusting. The people you look up to, the ones who are building, achieving, creating, they're not overthinkers. They're doors. They move with speed. They understand that action beats perfection every time. You think taking time to think more is responsible, but what's actually irresponsible is wasting your life in analysis mode. You're missing opportunities while waiting for the right moment. You're losing momentum while trying to predict every variable. But the game of life doesn't wait. And the longer you hesitate, the harder it gets to start. What you need isn't more time to think. What you need is to trust yourself, to understand that you'll never have 100% certainty. And that's okay. You can make a decision with 70% clarity and still make it work. The power isn't in the perfect plan. The power is in the follow-through, the ability to decide, commit, and course correct if needed. And let's be real, overthinking isn't just hurting your goals. It's affecting your relationships, your peace of mind, your ability to enjoy the moment. You have a screwed up life. You're so busy running simulations in your head that you're not even present in your life. You're not listening. You're not connecting. You're too distracted by what might happen to see what is happening. You don't need another Procon list. You don't need another late night brainstorming session. You need to move. You need to choose, and then you need to act fully, boldly, without apology, because overthinking feels safe. It gives you the illusion of control, but it's not safety, it's self-sabotage. It's procrastination in disguise. It's the fear of imperfection keeping you from progress. And the longer you feed it, the more power it takes from you. You weren't meant to sit on the sidelines of your own life, trying to think your way to certainty. You were built to create, to decide, to lead, to take risks. You don't grow by waiting. You grow by doing. There are people in your life right now who are costing you more than you realize, not in dollars, not in time, but in energy, in focus, in peace. These are the people who drain you, exhaust you, confuse you, or make you second guess yourself. And the truth is, you've probably gotten so used to their presence, you don't even see how damaging it is anymore. Toxic doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers, slowly pulling you down until you don't even remember what healthy feels like. You try to justify it. You say, They've been around a long time. You say, it's complicated. You say, they don't mean to be that way. But here's what matters. Every interaction either adds to your life or subtracts from it. There's no neutral ground. If someone constantly makes you feel small, if they dim your light, if they question your dreams or mock your efforts, that's not love. That's not loyalty. That's not someone who deserves a front row seat in your life. Toxic relationships don't always look toxic at first. They don't always come with drama or explosions. Sometimes they come wrapped in passive aggression, in subtle jabs, in guilt trips and silent treatments. Sometimes it's a friend who never celebrates your wins. Sometimes it's a partner who supports you conditionally, only when you're easy to handle, only when you're convenient. Sometimes it's a family member who reminds you who you used to be every time you try to grow into something more. The danger is this: when you're surrounded by toxicity long enough, you begin to lower your standards. You tell yourself, maybe this is normal. You start to believe that walking on eggshells, managing someone's moods, and shrinking your personality is just the cost of connection. You begin to think that this is just what relationships are supposed to feel like. But it's not. Real connection doesn't require you to shrink. It doesn't require you to sacrifice your mental clarity just to keep the peace. And while you're trying to keep everyone happy, your goals are collecting dust. You can't build your dream when you're spending all your emotional energy managing someone else's chaos. You can't evolve when your environment is built to keep you the same. Every time you take a step forward and someone pulls you back with their doubt or insecurity, that's not friction. It's sabotage. And the longer you allow it, the more it shapes you. Sometimes the people draining you aren't even doing it maliciously. They're not bad people. They're just stuck. Stuck in their patterns, stuck in their pain, stuck in a mindset that refuses to grow. And because you care, you keep giving. You become their emotional dumping ground, their motivational speaker, their punching bag. But you weren't put here to carry everyone. Your job is not to fix people who don't want to be fixed. Your job is not to sacrifice your own mental health so someone else can stay comfortable in dysfunction. There's a lie people tell themselves that loyalty means permanence. That because someone's been in your life for years, they've earned the right to stay forever. But loyalty to others should never come before loyalty to yourself. If someone is consistently harming your peace, your self-worth, your ability to thrive, then love does not require you to keep them close. Love does not mean self-betrayal. You have to start auditing your circle. Look at who energizes you and who drains you. Who supports your growth and who feels threatened by it. Who listens when you speak, who laughs when you win, who stays when you struggle. Because life is hard enough without carrying the weight of relationships that hurt more than they heal. And it's not just about cutting people off. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about deciding that your energy is too valuable to be spent on people who only take and never give. Every conversation leaves a residue. Every interaction shapes your state. If you constantly walk away from some feeling tense, irritated, or less than, pay attention, not love. That's not support. That's a leak. And leaks don't just go away, they grow. They drain you drop by until you're running on empty and don't know why. You can't fix someone who doesn't see a problem. You can't grow in an environment that punishes evolution. And you can't become the person you're meant to be while staying entangled in relationships that keep pulling you back to who you used to be. Sometimes growth requires distance. Sometimes peace is boundaries. Sometimes the only way forward is to let go, even if it hurts, even if it's lonely, even if it means breaking a pattern that's been a part of you for years. You letting go isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's choosing to protect your space, your energy, your future. It's deciding that your well-being matters more than comfort, more than history, more than someone else's expectations. Because when you finally clear that space, when you create room by walking away from what's draining you, you make space for what can truly fuel you. Every time you complain, you're reinforcing a belief that you're powerless. You're telling your mind and everyone around you that life is something happening to you, not something you have the authority to shape. And the more you speak those words, the more they become truth. Complaining is not venting. It's not releasing pressure. It's reinforcing limitation. It's turning setbacks into identities. You're not just talking about problems. You're aligning yourself with them. There's a reason people get addicted to complaining. It gives you a momentary high. It makes you feel seen. It invites others to join in and say, yeah, I feel that too. It creates an illusion of connection, like you're bonding over the struggle. But shared weakness isn't connection. It's co-signing a problem you're not willing to fix. And while it might feel good for a second, it solves absolutely nothing. You're in the same spot when it's over, except now you've spent your energy amplifying the problem instead of building the solution. Complaining is easy. It's what you do when taking action feels too heavy. It's the default setting for a mind that's forgotten its power. You don't complain because you're weak. You complain because you've gotten used to the pattern. It's become a habit, a way to delay responsibility. Because as long as you're pointing at the outside, at your boss, your partner, the system, the traffic, the weather, you don't have to look at yourself. You don't have to ask the uncomfortable question, what am I doing to change this? You can either focus on the problem or you can focus on the solution, but you can't both. Problem grows where attention goes. And when you're constantly describing how bad things are, how unfair life is, how nothing works out for you, you're feeding that narrative until it becomes the lens you see everything through. You're not observing reality anymore. You're creating it, shaping it with every word, reinforcing a cycle that keeps you stuck. Listen to yourself, really listen. The things you repeat out loud day after day shape the trajectory of your life. If every sentence starts with, I can't, they always, it never. You're programming your subconscious with limitations. You're training your brain to expect frustration, to anticipate disappointment, to scan every experience for what's wrong. And when that becomes your mental baseline, even the good things start to look dull. You lose your ability to appreciate, to see progress, to recognize opportunity because your mind is conditioned to complain. It doesn't stop there. Complaining doesn't just affect your own mindset. It infects your environment. Negativity is contagious. One person complaining can lower the energy of an entire room. It drags people down. It shifts the atmosphere. It pulls others into the same low frequency thing that's keeping you stagnant. And what's worse, people start to expect it from you. You become that person, the one who always has something negative to say, the one who finds the cloud in every silver lining, the one who brings heaviness instead of hope. And maybe you think you're just being real, that you're not negative, just honest. But there's a difference between being honest about a problem and being married to it. Real honesty is followed by action. Real honesty says, yeah, this is tough, and here's what I'm doing about it. Complaining stops at the first part. It gets stuck in the story. It takes the pain and loops it again and again until you can't tell the difference between expressing and excusing. What you speak matters. Words are not neutral. They are seeds. And every time you complain, you plant something in the soil of your mind. You plant resentment, bitterness, helplessness. Then you wonder why your life feels heavy, why you're tired, why nothing changes. It's because you've gardened of negativity with your own voice. People think venting is harmless. But when your daily conversations are filled with complaints, you have a screwed up life. You're not releasing anything. You're rehearsing it. You're going over the same emotional pain, carving it deeper into your nervous system, letting it live rent-free in your mind. And guess what? A screwed up life. The brain doesn't know the difference between something that's happening and something you're just vividly talking about. So when you complain, your body experiences the stress all over again. Your energy gets drained, your mood drops, your outlook darkens. And here's something to really understand: you can't lead and complain at the same time. Leaders, real leaders, don't sit around pointing fingers. They don't waste time describing problems without moving toward a solution. They don't gossip about what's wrong. They go to work. They channel frustration into fuel. They take ownership, because complaining might make you feel right, but it will never make you powerful. You've got goals to chase, a life to build, and a legacy to leave behind. Complaining keeps you in the passenger seat, watching your life go by, narrating everything that's wrong while the wheel stays untouched. You don't need another person to agree with you about how hard it is. You need to rise. You need to decide that your voice won't be used to echo your problems, but to declare your potential. People spend years waiting for the right feeling before they start. They wait for that spark of inspiration, that surge of motivation that will finally push them into action. They think one day they'll wake up with the perfect mindset, overflowing with energy and courage. But the truth is that day rarely comes. And when it does, it doesn't last. Motivation is a mood. Strategy, not a strategy. And if you're building your future on something as unstable as a mood, you're going to stay stuck. Waiting for motivation is one of the most destructive habits you can fall into because it feels innocent. It feels like patience. It feels like you're being thoughtful, like you're preparing. But what you're really doing is postponing your power. You're giving away your time, your potential, and your momentum to a feeling that may never show up the way you expect it to. You don't need more motivation. You need more movement. Success doesn't come to the most inspired. It comes to the most consistent. The people who win aren't the ones who feel great every day. They're the ones who show up every day no matter how they feel. They get up tired. They take action uncertain. They push forward without a motivational quote, without a perfect plan, without someone cheering them on. They understand that emotion is not the driver. Discipline is. The problem with waiting for motivation is that it teaches you to obey your feelings. If you only act when you feel good, you're training your brain to believe that hard work is optional. You're telling yourself that progress only happens when conditions are perfect, but life doesn't hand you perfect conditions. It throws you problems, distractions, bad days, long nights. You have a screwed up life and unexpected chaos. If you can't move forward in the middle of that, you'll never move forward at all. Action is what creates motivation, not the other way around. You don't get energized and then start working. You start working and then you get energized. The first step always feels heavy. The first rep is always the hardest. But once you begin, once you engage, something shifts. Your mind wakes up. Your body follows. Your momentum builds. But that momentum doesn't show up until you do. Every time you delay action because you're not feeling it, you're strengthening the part of you that wants to stay comfortable. And comfort, while seductive, is the enemy of achievement. Comfort wants you to stay where you are. Comfort tells you you can start tomorrow. You deserve a break. It's not the right time. And if you listen to that voice long enough, you'll look up and realize that tomorrow became next year. That break became a rut. That perfect time never came. You don't need to feel like it to do it. That's the key. You need to become the kind of person who acts in spite of your mood, not because of it. You need to train your brain to respect decisions, not feelings. You decide once, and then you follow through. Whether you're excited or exhausted, confident or scared. That's how you build real strength. Not the kind that feels good in the moment, but the kind that builds a life you're proud of. Motivation fades. Commitment doesn't. And if you can build a life around commitment, you become unstoppable. Because now you're not waiting. You're not hoping. You're not reacting. You're moving. You're building on days when most people quit. You're stacking effort, one boring, gritty, unglamorous block at a time. That's the difference between people who dream and people who do. Look at any high performer, any world-class athlete, entrepreneur, or artist. They're not living on a diet of motivation. You're living on routine. They've built systems so strong that emotion doesn't even matter. Whether they're in the mood or not, they execute. Whether they slept well or not, they execute. Whether someone supports them or not, they execute. Because they know the cost of waiting is far greater than the discomfort of doing. You've got dreams, goals, ideas, but none of them matter if you never act on them. And the brutal truth is this: your ideas don't care about your feelings. Your potential doesn't wait for you to feel ready. Life doesn't pause for your inspiration to arrive. Time keeps moving, and every day you wait is a day you lose. Not because you're lazy, but because you're waiting for something that was never supposed to be the fuel in the first place. You don't have to love the process to do it. You just have to do it. That's how you reclaim your power. From action, I'm talking about it. Not from reading another book, not from visualizing it endlessly, from doing it, especially when it's uncomfortable, especially when you're tired, especially when you'd rather do anything else. That's where the breakthrough lies. Not in the perfect moment, in the difficult one, the one you conquer, not because you felt like it, but because you decided to. Every day you're making choices, some loud and obvious, others quiet and invisible, but all of them shape your life. You're either feeding your growth or fueling your destruction, not with one massive decision, but through the small, repeated habits that most people ignore. You're giving away your energy to mindless scrolling, tricking yourself into inaction with overthinking, holding on to relationships that bleed you dry, complaining your way into helplessness, and waiting for a feeling that may never come. These aren't harmless. They're not background noise. They are the silent thieves of your potential. And here's the truth: no one is coming to save you. Not motivation, not time, not luck. The only rescue mission that's coming is the one you launch for yourself. It starts when you just stop wasting your life on things that do nothing but drain you. It starts when you look at every excuse and distraction and say, not anymore. Your future is not built in someday. It's built in now. Not when you feel like it. Not when everything is perfect, but now, in the tension and the discomfort and the chaos, that's where change begins, not with permission, with a decision. This is your moment to take it all back, your focus, your energy, your life. Make it count.